Here I am, standing outside of a much-needed truck stop in my two-stoplight town. The Burger King, the Pizza Hut, the Denny's, all shut down. Lasted maybe 4 years max. Now, this was a big thing for our town because we wanted a Burger King, we wanted a Pizza Hut. Now, in our previous video of this tour of this building and the shutdown, we were telling you that it was migrant workers that came in from India. Migrant workers that came in and drove it to the ground. And it's true. But I got word on the ground from people why. The smell, the stench was getting so far out of control that the health department was called in. And then there was a bankruptcy. But hold up. There was a bankruptcy, but hold up. People stopped coming because the lack of service or the quality wasn't there anymore. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, put your hand up if when you go to a fast food or a fast food diner here in Canada, that now you look at who is working at these locations before you order any food. I haven't ordered fast food in ages now, like years now, because I'm looking and the standard of quality just isn't there. Now, before you guys blame all these migrants for coming and basically stealing our jobs, they're not stealing the jobs. It's government subsidies that stole your jobs. The government. Now, before everyone blames all the Hindus for coming in and I guess taking these government subsidized jobs from Canadians that really want these jobs badly, because they're becoming homeless at a record pace. You go to downtown Vancouver, you rarely see any Chinese or Hindus or any other culture homeless, because they're given an open door opportunity to go work at a bank. If you're Chinese, we'll hire you. We don't care. We'll just hire you to do whatever, right? So before everybody blames the Hindus for this and seeing the destructiveness of the fast food industry falling across Canada, look it up. I looked up the last Q numbers, last 3 quarters to up until 2018. Fast food restaurants in Canada have seen a massive decline. They're not hitting expectations, and shareholders are pulling out, and they're starting to see why. And again, it's this whole subsidized wages that's going on. Now, the Canadian proper doesn't stand a chance because employers can get cheap labor. Now, cheap labor drives businesses into the ground. Now, take a look at the gas station. Here it is right there. Beautiful building, beautifully renovated, really well organized when it first opened. And then all the people working there were pushed out. They got in Hindu management that took over and basically destroyed it and drove it into the ground. Why? Because of standards. Standards don't meet our standards. Non-integration. Don't want to integrate to become Canadian. I'm a Portuguese citizen. And we had a lot of, back in the day when we came to Canada, we had a lot of standards to follow. We had a lot of making sure we spoke English, making sure we integrated with the Canadian culture, making sure we didn't put Canadian on our resumes, because you get roughed up if we did. And we had to be transparent when we were applying for jobs back in the day. I got fired from 4, 5, 6 jobs because employers found out I was Portuguese. But now back to the message at hand here. Now, before all you guys blame all the Hindus for doing this and destroying the fast food service, your government, remember, your government sold them a pack of lies to come over here. Broken dreams. Now, the federal government and provincial governments were spending millions of dollars in advertising to come to Canada. They were putting up signage all over parts of India and the Bangalore region and Punjab region of India. Come to Canada. The opportunity is here. Pakistan was getting a lot of advertising. Come to Canada. We need you. We need workers in Canada. I think Sri Lanka, Somalia, a lot of countries were getting a lot of this, hey, come on in, you're guaranteed a job. They were guaranteed a job with your tax dollars through government subsidies. And we've been covering this for the last 15 years, but here we are now. Now we're starting to see the pocketbooks get hit. The investors are getting hit. They're pulling out. They're not reaching expectations across Canadian fast food. Canadian fast food is in a lot of trouble right now. Now you're starting to see now why were the Hindus brought in the last 5 years in huge record numbers, last 4 years, so in some areas, and the last 3 years in some areas. Why? Because the Canadian government believed it could fix its housing crisis on affordability by bringing in mass amounts of people to buy up the vacant properties and to buy up the defaulting properties. Who do we blame? Well, let's go back to 2010. The Chinese came in, and the Vancouver model was put in place to allow Chinese nationals to have work tourism and have children in Canada. Here's the papers, take the papers. And not only that, you bring the paper money, you park it in our real estate, no questions asked, and you could buy up as much as you want. We won't even ask you any questions where you got the money from. So Canada became Chinese. Canada's government became Chinese. When you do business with a Chinaman and you betray your own people in your own country that built this infrastructure, you're a Chinaman. So the Chinese came in 2010 and started pouring in money after the 2010 Vancouver Olympics. A lot of people are going to doubt me and say, no, it was in 86 or 87 with Expo. 87 in Expo or 86 in Expo, whenever that was. Let me tell you the truth about that. That was Hong Kongese, and they would have to come in and bring money in to open a business and hire Canadians. That was one of the major mandates to get into Canada back in that time. The Canadian government knew that they weren't going to come to build anything. They weren't going to build any gas stations and roads or anything. They were just going to come and park their money into business. But in 2010, things changed. The Vancouver model got kicked in. Go back to our 2012 videos and 2010 videos when we're covering this and telling you guys the dangers of this great middle-class takeover. So, Chinese nationals allowed to bring in enormous amounts of cash and park their money in our real estate starting in 2010. And then you started to see bidding wars and then artificial shortages. We need to build more, supply and demand, build more. Remember that? That was BS. Because Canada, I think, is sitting on 3.4 million to 4.4 million empty units from condos, houses, mixed units. And that's where we are right now. So the artificial shortages kicked in. The house you pay, when I was in Vancouver, homes were selling $1, $2, $3 million over asking. So how was the Canadian proper going to compete with money laundering from China? And then you had the fentanyl, then you had the Chinese gangs, you had the casinos, you had the colleges where a lot of Chinese people would enroll in college and then go back to the college and say, I need a refund. And the college would keep 3 or 4% of the refund. So you see where I'm going. So now Canadians are completely priced out of their own housing market. Homelessness is ramping up, fentanyl from China is circulating, and Canadian governments are trying so hard to say, we busted a fentanyl lab. And we told you last year, we told you that they're going to be busting fake fentanyl labs. One guy got arrested. Fentanyl in Canada, we're cracking down. No, it comes in from China. And, but stop blaming the Chinese. Okay, here's the flip side of it all. Then put in a government in Canada that's actually going to go, where'd you get this money from? Let's audit you. And if this wasn't from illicit funds, you could keep your property. But if it was, we're taking it back. Look at Sarah Huckabee Sanders in her state there in the United States. CCP, get off our land. Why? I don't care about the previous government. It's this administration that matters now. CCP, get off our land, and she's repossessing CCP properties down in her state there in the United States. I think it's Arkansas. That's what Canada needs. Someone to come in, bring back, take these properties back that were bought with illicit funds. Oh, you're being racist, Mike. No. I was audited for money laundering when I bought my house. Why are you buying? They asked me 50 times, why are you buying a house for? What do you want a house for? I want to raise a family. What do you want to buy a house for? So they audited me. Oh, you own a business? Yeah. Okay, now we're going to have to audit that business. So I had to pay an accountant thousands of dollars to prove I wasn't money laundering money to be able to buy a house. But then foreign Chinese nationals come in. Watch my orange bags video. Watch my orange bags video up on YouTube. They had orange bags to dispose of evidence. Watch that video and you guys will be like, what the hell is going on? So this is where we're at. So the Hindus were sold a lie. To come on over, we need you here. And it was just government subsidies to price out the Canadian proper, to destroy the Canadian proper and the European. I'm European expansion. And to price everybody out. And people in the comments can say, oh, you're Portuguese, but you're using the name Mike. It's on my birth certificate in Portugal. Mike Martins. So I'm just putting this out there because I want people to understand. The Hindus were sold a lie. They came over, and now they're realizing how expensive and how hard it is to live here. The Chinese were sold a way out to get their corrupt money out of their country and bring it all over here and price out everybody across the thing. A lot of the homes you're seeing here, and we did side-by-side comparisons. We took a house here in Vancouver or Burnaby or Surrey or Toronto or Oakville for $4.6 million. You could buy the same house, same year, same square footage for like 140 grand in the United States. But people in the United States would be saying, 140 grand for a house like that? What are you talking about? Yeah, a lot of the houses were built in the 20s and 30s. So you go to a town in Florida or a city outside of a major city in Florida or Texas or Alabama, you'll find 80, 90-year-old homes going for 80 grand, 90 grand. Those same homes in Canada get popped up by the money launderers. But now people are saying, oh, the Chinese were good because they brought in money, and they didn't know. The Chinese brought in money, priced the Canadian proper out of housing, and destroyed the fabric of what it is to be Canadian. A lot of people say, oh, well, they brought in money so that they helped you out. No, they didn't. They brought in illicit, illegal funds. Now we're looking at $2.2 to $2.6 trillion laundered across Canada from 2010 to 2015. 2010 to 2024. 2010 to 2024. That's how long they've been laundering money. And the money laundering task force, which we covered over the last 15 years, is constantly shutting down. It's like we're going to have to arrest like 3,000 Chinese nationals if we go through with this. Canadian government, no, we can't, because we're China. We can't go against China. We love China. And that's where we are right now. So this is this mess of this skyrocketing homelessness in Canada, this mess with this great divide that we have here. Everyone's divided. And this mess with now our fast food, much needed in my town. I would love to go up and get a Whopper once in a blue moon, take the kids up here. We used to love coming up here. But it got to a point where we couldn't even breathe in there. It was so bad. And then it led to, of course it led to bankruptcy because people stopped. So let me know in the comments, how many of you guys walk up to a fast food joint and look at it and see who's working there before you order your food? Because I do that now. Call me a racist. Remember, I'm a Portuguese and I lived in Toronto in the 80s and 90s. If you think I'm a racist. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.